Spacehood is basically a tower defense game but with some additional stuff mixed in that aims to make it more interesting than just placing towers and watching enemies walk by. You are fighting against this corporation called Nova Roma that keeps sending waves of enemies to trash your base, but you can actually raid them back between defending. Thank you kindly to General Gibbon for sponsoring this video. So the whole thing takes place on the space you're managing, and the space is limited. You can't just build everything you want because you only have so many spots available. Right from the start you're making tough calls about what matters more. Do you want more towers, more money makers, or buildings that speed up your research? The defense part works like you'd expect from tower defense. The enemies come in waves and you place towers to shoot them down. They send different units with varying speeds and armor. Some fly, some are slow tanks, and some actually heal other units. They occasionally throw in special boss type war machines sometimes to really mess with your setup. You also get these active abilities like missiles and orbital strikes that you can trigger yourself, but these cost resources or have long cooldowns, so you can't spam them. Now at this point you probably noticed that this is clearly a low budget game. The game has no fancy animations or polish. Everything looks pretty basic and a bit rough, but honestly once you get into it the gameplay itself is actually fun enough that you stop caring about the visuals. Between waves you can choose to go on raids. These raids are basically mini missions where you attack enemy positions on different planets, moons or asteroids. Again, they are pretty simple in concept and execution. You pick a target based on what loot you want. Maybe you need more of the main resource called Romanium, or you want specific tech stuff. There's a trade-off, meaning every raid you do makes the next defense wave harder. So you're constantly weighing whether grabbing those extra resources now is worth dealing with tougher enemies later. The economy system is where things get strategic. You have to produce resources to build and upgrade stuff, but you also need to invest in research to unlock better towers and abilities. Research takes time, and you can't research everything in one playthrough, so you kinda have to pick a direction. You can also send expeditions out into space to find relics that give you bonuses. These can really change how your run goes, as they give you special advantages that you wouldn't normally have access to. The game's roguelike structure means each playthrough is different and you're unlocking new stuff as you go. When you finish a run, you unlock harder difficulty levels, but also new characters. What makes the game work is that you're juggling all these systems at once. You're trying to defend your base with limited space, deciding when it's worth it to raid, managing multiple important resources, picking what to research, and also adapting your strategy based on what you find in space. So you're essentially running this whole operation and each decision has consequences. That presentation is rough and you can tell it was made on a tight budget, but the game's strategy part should keep you hooked. The game also has some lore scattered around in a codex that explains the universe, your enemies, and the other 3 people fighting against Nova Roma. And that sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.